You have a project that you just finished shooting and that you wrote, starred in, directed, produced.
Yeah.
And this was, before that you had a short. Is that right?
I had a few shorts.
You had a few shorts,
yeah,
okay.
Just a few shorts.
So this is a feature.
Yeah.
When did you begin writing it? It's called Come Into Your Own?
Yeah, Come Into Your Own.
Come Into Your Own.
I wrote the initial treatment, just a 12-page treatment, maybe 2013. I had an idea, went home that night, wrote the treatment in one night, and then sat on it, finished school. Once that was done, moved to LA, and when I was comfortable again here, that's when I started writing the project. Yeah.
Oh, so this is from the Saddleback years.
It's from the Saddleback years.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's very personal in some way? Or no, it's not, okay.
No, it's just an idea I had.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the story?
So the story follows a young gay man who is stuck in the rut of monotony. He's tired of his current relationship, so he decides to stir the embers in his life and try something drastic just to feel something, and that leads to certain consequences, and he has to learn through those things.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We can't say what they are, right? It'll give away the...
He makes choices, which is most important for that character. The character makes choices, and the choices lead to events that are good and bad. Obviously, it's life.
Sure.
But he makes, I think, as any young 20-year-old, learning how to make choices is important. That's where this character is in his life. He's learning how to make decisions, learning how to make choices. And I know that when humans, I for sure, are stuck in a rut, sometimes we do drastic things. I'm just gonna quit my job today, so I do it. Or I'm just gonna break up with you today, so I do it. And then I go do something crazy just to feel something totally opposite of that. And that's what this character goes through. He is so burnt out on the monotony that he's lived his whole life. He just does something crazy, something different. And he goes full board into it, but it hurts some people along the way. And he has to learn that he can take time to make decisions,
Is his life too safe?
His life is way too safe. He's been taught how to live safe. He says that in the film. I was never taught how to do anything different or dangerous. And he wants to just explore, try things, be scared. He's never been scared. Wow. He's just been bored, and he's scared of being bored, so he does some crazy things.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And the character has an interesting name?
Yeah, the character is named Liram Alario.
Okay.
So Liram, I believe, it's been so long since I discovered these names. I think Liram has something to do with being a free man, a free person. And then Alario, I believe, is a Latin version of the word eagle. I've been taught, I don't know if it's totally accurate, but I've been taught that eagles are like the only kind of bird who will fly in the midst of a thunderstorm. And he takes that analogy to heart. He wants to be something that will just try something dangerous like that. And so I always like characters that have to grow into their names, and he has to do that himself. So yeah, Liram Alario, a free man who wants to fly on the wings of eagles. It's kind of what his name means.
In a thunderstorm.
In a thunderstorm, yeah.
Why did you write it?
I didn't realize until recently why I wrote it. On the surface level, I want to be a maker of my destiny. I don't wait for anything. I just do things. And I wanted work, so I made work. I wrote a film to have a film done, feature. I wanted to be out there. I wanted to have a calling card. But internally, I didn't realize, like I said till recently, that the theme of coming into your own, which is the title, Come Into Your Own, is something everyone has to go through. I went through it in my 20s. We have to make decisions. We have to learn how to act. We have to learn how to grow and communicate and gain confidence. And I realized at the time the initial idea came to me, that's exactly where I was. I was quitting one thing and trying something new, and then going back to the thing I quit and quitting the thing I was trying something new, and trying to figure out my place in this whole crazy thing called life. And subconsciously I had an idea of a young 20-year-old doing that and wrapping that story up, wrapping that theme of coming into your own, coming of age in a story about a young gay man who decides to break up with his boyfriend in the middle of the proposal and then try dating a young girl for the first time in his life, and doing something drastic, something he's never done. And like I said, though, that leads to consequences. You know, it teaches him, one, how to be honest with himself, be honest with others, be honest with everyone around him, and figure out how to guide his own life and not live off the guidance his parents have taught him to do, you know? So that's where I think subconsciously it came from. But actually producing the thing was just because as the filmmaker, we need to be producing work all the time. We need to be. It's just in our blood, you know?
Do you think too, I mean, this is nothing against Orange County, but that it was so safe there? It's very safe and sanitized.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a beautiful place. But do you think because you were around that too? I mean, I'm just putting words in your mouth.
No.
Okay.
I had come from a very dangerous living when the idea came to me. I was living out of state. I was in a very, very bad relationship. My mom had to literally buy a plane ticket and drag me home. It was bad. And that's why I decided I'm done with this life. I'm going to do something totally different. And then I went back to what is truly comfortable, which is my art, my career, my craft, and went back to what is happy and safe for me, which is my career. And I think that's partly why it stemmed. You know, he does something dangerous. He does something different for himself, something that is out of character for him. And he ends up realizing that and kind of going back to what he always knew.
Okay, so it was the opposite.
Yeah, it was the very opposite.
Interesting.
It was very opposite.
Wow,
Yeah.
interesting.
It was a very scary time.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. And
I have no problem talking about it, but yeah, it was crazy.
it's up to you. I mean, I think some people have had that, and others, I don't want to say they've been sheltered, but that's basically the word.
Right.
And I think that
This character totally was.
Okay, he was sheltered. Yeah, I grew up with a lot of people like that. I wasn't, but I saw kids that they could only watch PBS. They had to be home by a certain time.
Same with him. What's interesting about the story is the story follows a young gay man in a world where that is just very much open and accepted all over the place. I mean, obviously being in LA, we're fighting for that kind of equality and whatnot. But in this story, it's just, yeah, he's gay. Who cares? He's just what he is. He's always been that way. His parents have always known. It's what it is. No big deal. And which I think is a good place to be. Just be you, right? That's what he is. But his qualms are with how he was raised. It's he says in the script, I've been from my front door to my backyard. He's never seen outside his neighborhood. He was born and raised in LA. He went to school and had a career and developed a career he was supposed to develop. And he dated the guy he was supposed to date. He found the success his parents wanted him to find. And that's what drove him to say, I need to do something crazy. And he decides to do that. And it shocks him. It shocks his system, which is what he wants, but not in the best way possible, right? He hurts people along the way doing so.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I feel like in your 20s you can be that wild person, and then especially if you have other responsibilities, even if you don't have kids, it's just harder.
Yeah.
But some people don't come into their own until
way later.
60s.
There's a character in the film, his mentor, the mentor character, who comes into his own late into his 40s. Okay. They both kind of help each other realize that the character's name is Ted, and he works with Liram. He's this man-child. He works at this, they work at this small startup, a health beverage company.
Oh, nice.
And this 45-year-old guy is working with all these young 20-year-olds and trying to be cool and trying to be their friend and trying to be hip with their lingo and trying to be a millennial, and he's just so not. And he realizes that through helping this young kid figure himself, he figured, I'm an adult and I can be this father figure and I can just love myself as I am, just a gentle man who works with this group of young kids, but I don't have to try and be this young guy. I can just be who I am. So yeah, it's true. And then every character, I hope, is trying to come into their own with this film, no matter what age. And that's, I hope, how we all are in life. I fortunately was able to figure all that mess out in my 20s, and now I feel better than ever. But yeah, there are definitely people who are learning late into their 50s, you know?
Right.
And that's totally fine.
Or beyond.
Beyond. Yeah. Totally fine. It's totally fine. Right. As long as you're progressing, as long as you are coming into your own.
Does it talk about sort of like either family or cultural pressures or whatever?
Ooh,
or no?
No. What's interesting is his character is Hispanic, and he comes from a very Latin-based family. His dad, very much of an American white man. His mom, Hispanic. Now, they're just mentioned in the film. His mom is very Latin. He says she wears big jewelry and is very colorful in the life of the party, because that's how my Latin family is. You know, they're very colorful. And but for the subtext of the character, his mom came and decided to live the American dream, you know, with her husband, and, you know, taught her son to grow up and go to college and get the 9-to-5 and date the right person and be married by, you know, 26 or 27 and have kids when you're 32 and this and this and this and this and follow the order. And that's what he was taught by his parents. And so it was cultural influences according to the American dream, you know, is what his parents wanted him to live as a Hispanic man. You know,
right.
He tells this young, so the girl he dates in this film is a white girl who was raised all over the world, speaks multiple languages, grew up in was born in Concepcion, Chile, went to Tokyo, studied there and all over the world because her father was in politics and just traveled. He was a diplomat. And he sees this white American woman who is culturally aware and speaks languages and is so not what the surface looks like. And he, being a Latin man, is so not that. He's just a white American, and he wants to be in touch with his culture. He wants to be in touch with his Hispanic roots. He speaks Spanish because he was taught that as his first language, but it's just words for him. It doesn't mean anything. You know, there's no romance in the beauty of the language for him like there is for her, you know? And so there's that interesting dynamic between the two, where you see this white young girl who is culturally relevant, and then this Hispanic boy who is not, you know? And I wanted to touch on that for those reasons.
It's always interesting when we see someone, and it's not even where there's like a physical attraction, it's just, you're like, I want to be like this. Yes. It could be male or female.
Yeah. Oh, that makes me want to cry when you say that, because that is exactly what this film is about. This film is not about him figuring out his sexuality. H's a gay man. He knows it, but he's in love with what she represents. He dates her because he wants to steal culture from her. That's his whole thing. He loves everything she is. He may not be physically attracted to her, but he loves her history and the languages she speaks and all the earth she's touched in his life, you know, she's touched the ground where he's only dreamed of. He's a research developer for this health beverage company, and he researches the world behind a computer screen. And he's just envious of that. And so that's why he dates her, is because he's in love with the idea of those things. It's so amazing that you say that, because it's exactly what happens to him.
Well, they say sometimes that's why we fall for certain people, is because we actually almost want to be them, because they're like living what we want to. You know, we want to not even what they're doing, but like who they are. Whether they're not bound by certain.
Oh my gosh.
You know.
It makes me so emotional when you say that, because it's like that's so exactly what the character is. That's amazing. That's amazing that you say that.
Well, also too, it can be, I mean, we're getting really deep here, but why somebody could be jealous of someone too.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
It might not, and it could be, again, male or female. It
doesn't
could
matter.
Be the opposite gender, but you could just see something in them and you won't allow that in yourself. And so instead of like, you just like, I hate that person.
Oh my gosh.
And you know, because have you ever, I felt that when I was younger, I would see certain people, and then I started to realize like, they had troubles too, and they weren't perfect. But some people, I don't know if it's so easy to like, you could do that with celebrities.
So true. So true. In fact, her character is so different from him. She sees in his life this rooted man, this guy who grew up with a stable family, a mom and a dad and a sister, the white picket fence, everything. Went to the same school his whole life, had a best friend, pets, everything that he has, she wants. But they can't give each other that. And that's what creates the conflict, right? But it's so true. They both feel that way. Oh, I'm so jealous of you. You've had this great family relationship. Her parents are split up. Yours didn't. That happens today. Parents stay together. What? And she wants that so bad. She wants to have, she wants to live in one home for the rest of her life. And he's like, no, I want to live on a boat and travel the world. So it's amazing that you pick that out in humans, because that's so what these characters are. Amazing.
Yeah, I think that people, as like, because if you didn't have, let's say, the white picket fence, and you do see someone that has it like this like stable thing, you're like, oh wow, I wish I could have that. Right. And they look at you as maybe like, oh wow, you don't have all the pressures I have. And
I mean, the grass is always greener, they say.
Right.
Wow, that's amazing.